Welcome to another class. Today we will be reading from page from the next Our Past, Our Heritage. History and Geography. Next day in class, Didimoni, the teacher, said that to understand history, it is necessary to have a knowledge of geography. This took everyone by surprise. Their history and geography books are different, classes are separate. Then, how come Didimoni made such a remark? This was what Pritha asked. Didimoni explained, actually, history chiefly concerns itself with people's activities. Many of their activities or work are determined by the environment or geographical conditions within which they live. Consider, for example, the riverine people who live a certain kind of life. In their daily functions, the river has immense significance. Again, there are people who live in the deserts. In their lives, a river is less significant. You will see that in the desert, people usually travel by camels. On the other hand, people of the riverine places use boats. Many of us have to board boats to cross rivers. Again, in Rajasthan, people ride on camels to cross the desert. This has been the practice for a long time. Therefore, in the history of transportation of West Bengal, one comes to know about boats. Similarly, in the case of Rajasthan, one will read about camels. Why is there a difference in the transport history of the two regions? This is because their environment and geography are different. Therefore, history differs according to the particular locality and its environment. There are marked differences in food, dress, transport, commerce, and work. And this happens from very small localities to large areas. Let us consider why people of the plain regions mostly eat rice. Rahul replied, this is because there is more paddy cultivation in the plains. Didimoni said, that is right. Polas said, my uncle lives in Rajasthan. Their paddy is not much cultivated. In my uncle's house, chapati is mostly eaten. Didimoni said, this is how most human activities are determined by the environment and by geography. Hence, to understand history, it is necessary to have a sense of geography. Do you remember that the two key axioms of tales of history were why and where? To precisely comprehend this why and where, we must know about the environment and geography. Geography and history of the Indian subcontinent. Didimoni said, all of you have seen the present map of India. However, it was not like this all the time. A long time ago, the physical geography of India was different. The entire land mass was known as the Indian subcontinent. Subcontinent implies territory as huge as a continent. It consists of different kinds of people and environment. A subcontinent's environment comprises of mountains, rivers, sea, desert, etc. The people have different kinds of food habits, clothing, residences. The Indian subcontinent consisted of all such varieties and was huge. To its north lay the mountainous regions. Spacious areas on the banks of the Indus and the Ganga formed the large plain regions. To the south of the Vindhya mountains lay a triangular tract. All these together formed the Indian subcontinent. Once the Indian subcontinent was known as Bharatvarsha. Bharat was the name of an old clan. The area inhabited by the community came to be known as Bharatvarsha. In another sense, the word Bharat signified the successors or progenies of Bharat. However, it was not always that the term Bharatvarsha signified the Indian subcontinent as a whole. Calculation of older times. One day, Didimoni said, "Today we will learn to calculate the period of antiquity." Do you remember what was the first step of learning history? Everyone said to ask the question, when? Didimoni then asked, "Tell me, when did the first passenger train run in India?" Everyone said that it was on 16th April 1853. Didimoni exclaimed, "Wonderful! You indeed seem to remember it. Now tell me, when did people invent the wheel? When did they learn to light fire?" They did not know the answers to these. So Didimoni said, "You have to find out the answers. Can you?" All agreed. They could, Didimoni said. There was a time when there was no clock or calendar. People then did not know how to write. Therefore, no one could note down the date and year when man first learnt the use of fire. This is the problem in calculating events of antiquity. But to facilitate work, old times need to be split up into several time segments. Their calculations are different. For instance, for many thousands of years, man only knew the use of stone. But exactly when the use of stone began is not mentioned anywhere. Therefore, to signify the long time frame of many thousands of years, a particular term is used, that is, age or yug. Generally, age refers to quite a huge period of time. Again, consider that for thousands of years the earth was covered with ice. To refer to that long stretch, the term ice age is used. At some point, man learnt the use of metals like copper, bronze, iron, etc. That age is referred to as the Metal Age. However, there were divisions within the Metal Age also. When people only knew the use of copper, the age came to be known as the Copper Age. Later, when they learnt the various uses of iron, then began the Iron Age. However, during the Iron Age, use of stone or copper did not stop, though iron was mostly used. People could work more easily by using iron tools. Therefore, that age came to be known as the Iron Age. But when exactly did these ages come to an end? It is difficult to give definite answers to these. Therefore, while answering one uses one word, circa, meaning approximately. Many a times old dates or years have to be approximated. Therefore, in calculating time also the term circa or c needs to be used. Prehistory, protohistory, and history. Tales of which antiquity does history narrate? At one time, people did not know how to write. Therefore, we have to imagine events of those times. Generally, this period is referred to as the prehistoric era. The word pre means before. Therefore, prehistory refers to the time preceding the recordings of history. Again, at some point, people learned to write, though till now all such writing has not been deciphered. That means writings of olden times are available, but not all can be read. Those times refers to proto-historic era. The age about which records are both available and deciphered is known as the historic era. However, these divisions are merely for the sake of functionality. History talks about past times, however ancient that might be, irrespective of whether people knew how to write or not, or even whether such writings are legible or not. History is all about the tales of the past. Variations in date and year. From the time when people learned to read and write, it became easier to know about the past. Therefore, it became much easier to find answers to the question when. It became less necessary to use the term approximately. Calculating time became simpler. You are acquainted with the word year. Other terms like Sanskrit word abda and English word era are also used to express a certain length of time. In history, we find the use of various types of eras. It was also customary to calculate an era in accordance with the accession of a king, like Kanishkabda, Guptabda, Harshabda, etc. Kanishka was the greatest among the Kushana emperors. On ascending the throne, he introduced a new calendar or calculation of era or abda. This is known as Kanishkabda, Kanishka plus Abda or Kanishka era. Another name for Kanishkabda is Sakabda or Saka era. It is believed that in AD 78, Kanishka ascended the throne. Therefore, by deducting 78 from the Christian era, it is possible to calculate which year of the Shakabda is being referred to. The Gupta Emperor Chandragupta I introduced a new era which is known as Guptabda or Gupta era. Around AD 319 to 320, the calculation of Guptabda began. When Harshavardhana became king around AD 606, he introduced Harshabda or Harsha era.